Minutes.
Ready to bang.
Okay, banging. We have a call to order for the Town of Topsham Community Center Committee. And we're gonna get started. The review of the minutes from the previous meeting, we were just talking about how fabulous they are. Anything specific to add?
I do have a suggestion. We put in the social media, somehow the social media suggestions on the top of the page in the header are listed, but we haven't voted on anything. It seems kind of confusing to make that permanent record to be in the top of these pages.
Interesting, yes.
So those should really be pulled out until we vote, is my suggestion.
Yeah, and I was having them there just so we had them fresh, but you're right.
Okay.
In our minds, so we could continue to keep that current for us, but you're right, that can be fun, that we can take those out. And
It's
just,
just as confusing because there's 4 different ones.
yeah, we can look back at the minutes when we need them.
Yeah, they're from June.
Okay,
We keep them parked in the parking lot.
yeah,
You can.
I actually don't currently have a parking lot, right? That was, did I have one
Eric is just joking.
here? Okay. Good, she's feeling better. I felt like the parking lot was getting a bit tedious, but, so I don't actually have one on this current agenda. So do we want to add a parking lot to this current agenda? Or things like that? I like it, but then it just started feeling kind of longer and longer, the previous parking lot. I think I took off after we hear from Bob Barcelona because we're not gonna hear from Bob Barcelona, so
The 2 of them are duplicated here as well.
which one? What
The
is?
top right and the bottom right, creating a connected community.
Okay,
The other one was supposed to be connect our community. One of those should have been different.
so I think we should add a parking lot. I like having a parking lot. As long as others don't find it messy
I don't think it's messy. I think it's good just to have it to sit there. So
on our back
so keep
burner.
it on our radar, back
Okay.
burner. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Table and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, we know we need to get to it.
I like that. Thank you. That's helpful. Okay. So we'll make those changes to the current draft minutes.
And the agenda, no?
Current draft, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm saying draft minute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, draft, yeah. Okay, that sounds great. Thank you, Steve, for taking notes today. So changes to this agenda, we will add a parking lot. And we'll say name of committee. In there.
Is that the name of the committee or is that like a tagline?
Thank you. Okay. I don't. That sounds great. Thank you for being mine.
Sorry, I feel
No,
like I'm being a
please.
little.
Please don't be sorry. I've got a full brain, so. Okay. So everybody's met each other. We're good to go. That's great. Is there anybody who hasn't formally met each other? Can we take that off? I think everybody. Hi, Erica. I think everybody has met each other, and I think you were the one who's met, right? Okay. Okay, so we'll take that off for the next time. We will consider that everyone has met. Okay, that's great. So I wanted to talk about discussion of ground rules for the committee. So I talked with Mary Kate and I got a draft headlines for discussion. And I'd like to review them. I'm happy to print it and have people, add anything or change anything, but I will go through and talk about what ideas she proposed. And no, Roger.
Not yet.
Okay, so starting and ending the meeting on time. I think at this point, we could go as late as 8 o'clock for meetings is typically what we said, but starting at 6:30, ending by 8, and we tend not to go till 8. The next one is respecting each other's opinions, which I think we've all done a great job at. really hearing each other and respecting no idea is a bad idea, kind of a thing. So that's good. Disagree without being disagreeable, and I think we are also very good at that. But to have that down, I think is a nice talking point. Realizing it's the acronym is WAIT, WAIT, why am I talking? So just making sure when you are bringing up something that it's for a reason, it pertains to what we're talking about and important information. The next one is everyone participates. So there's another one here. If you are silent, it really means you're approving of what the conversation is. But that everyone participates, so that we can all be heard on the committee, because I think we all bring different important things. Completing action items in a timely manner, and I think that we're pulling that together with the minutes being done and getting those done so that we can get them put onto the website so that people can go there and see if there are things that need to happen. And if there's other ways to do that would be better. I don't tend to send them the minutes out when they're done. I send them to Pam and then Pam posts them. So if everybody thinks that's timely enough and working for everybody, then it's good. Or we're taking our own notes, and if there's anything to be done, then you finish your things in a timely manner. So I think we've done well with that recently. Keep focused on the mission, which is why the mission is at the top. And I think we're doing a good job with that. Even though we're gotten a little bit derailed today, we'll talk more about UNH, but remembering the mission and why we're doing this. This says in full, no champion, no issue. So, which means if there isn't someone willing to take action on an item, then don't keep discussing it and drop it and just drop it. So that's good. If we have an idea and nobody's really willing to get on that, then we move on from it. Keep a sense of humor. It's always a good one, which I think we do well at. Be clear on expectations. If you aren't sure, feel free to ask that if you need clarification, and check for understanding. And I always welcome help on this to make sure all voices are heard. So remotely, if you don't feel heard, feel free to speak up. And if somebody feels like somebody remotely is looking like they want to say something, feel free to point that out. I have no problem with that. Collective working together is great for me. And then using a parking lot for important but unrelated issues to the discussion, so that we can capture all the ideas. And having fun. So those were the talking points brought to us by Mary Kate. And does anybody have anything else to add?
Thank you, Mary Kate.
Yeah.
Can I add one? And this is just me, and today and last time were examples that I think people need to be responsible in letting you know if they're going to attend or not attend instead of last minute, so that if we aren't going to have a quorum, that we know that in advance. I hate being the person, but at 4 o'clock, when you're getting notice that a few people might not make it or aren't coming, it concerns me for other people's time and my own as well. So I guess I would would like to see that members acknowledge their responsibility to let the chair know if they are unable to make a meeting. Is that without being?
Are we going with it's assumed you will be there unless you let somebody know that you're not?
Yeah.
I think
That's the way
that's-
I was
yeah.
looking at it. Okay.
Yeah.
There.
So I'm wondering if it should be attached to, I tend to send out email the week before.
Right, and I think that's a perfect time to say, if you're not attending, please let me know by, please let me know as soon as possible or something.
So members, you got that, Steve?
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So, super.
I didn't realize I was note taking time for your first two. So if you want to repeat those, or you can add them.
Oh, sure. Start and end the meeting on time. And respect each other's opinions. And and the next one is disagree without being disagreeable.
I
Started.
could probably mesh, but
You got all the rest of those?
Yeah.
Well, you are good at those.
well, I caught on.
Should we have a drum roll? I saw that we're supposed to
What
have
was
fun,
that?
so I.
What was that last
know
one?
that-
Sure.
Oh, the
What was the
last
last
one, have fun and then notify. when it-
Use the parking lot,
No, I have to respect each other.
disagree without being disagreeable. And then wait.
Yeah, I got it.
We do appreciate you taking this,
Yes.
so much.
It actually, when you're typing it, you actually pay attention more than writing.
Oh, good.
I find.
Your mind doesn't. wander.
Yeah, when I was writing, I was like, I didn't remember the meeting at all.
Uh,
So I didn't write it down and then we didn't have the video of it, so I was completely lost. It's just easier,
Good, but figuring it out, that's great.
especially since it spell checks as you go.
Right. Okay, so next on the agenda is UNH and Bob Barcelona update. And in the minutes, we state Matt Fry and therefore UNH are not available. So that brings us back to discussion about the process of moving forward. And what Mary Kate and I talked about was there's been discussion about whether or not the committee is interested in doing work on their own versus with a consultant. So Mary Kate and I just sort of wanted to get a feel for that. What are people's opinions about are we interested in moving forward in where the consultant is not fully doing the work? Where we are doing a portion of the work, you know, more than being their support people, and then, or not.
And this is for the needs assessment, correct?
This is for, well, I think,
Feasibility study, needs assessment.
yeah, well, we've said, you know, what if we could get the work from the Matt and Bob, and then we facilitate it, and we do the groups, and we do the collection of the people. So it really isn't even in relation to that. It's more of that they've been so kind to offer us their sort of the work that they've done, and where would we go from there? So
Going to the no champion, no issue rule.
yeah.
If you're not willing to take action, that's a big project.
So
And-
that's
and
where we
who's
want,
gonna
yeah,
lead that project, you know, how is that gonna work?
right. So
And
that's
how do
where,
we split it evenly amongst team members, you
Yeah.
know?
so I think that's where we wanted to just have a very honest conversation. So, you know, I would say something like, you know, those in favor of working with Bob and Matt's information and moving forward with it in a group format, you know, who would be willing to do that, you know?
Which is essentially just taking this
Yeah.
and going from there.
But there's sort of been mention, you know, there's been mention along the way, maybe other people can say it other ways, but that maybe there's been some interest in that. And I do not have the time or the energy to take that information and make it happen. So,
I mean, I could see me leading a focus group if there were multiple people doing focus groups, but I'm not sure I'm not sure I have the skill or ability to oversee at this point that kind of daunting task. Because you're gonna need a lot of volunteers, you know, they were gonna use college students before, still gonna need to use volunteers to do things, to go to people, to work at events and so forth. So that, I mean, I'm not sure that at this point that anybody, not sure which way to look so that Erica. I'm
there too.
trying to look at you, Erica, but I can't.
Look at the
look
owl.
at you. Oh, there. Hi, Erica. So I'm trying to include you in my discussion.
I can see you because the owl points right at you when you're talking.
Oh, I didn't realize, okay,
Mhm.
so, I'm not saying I wouldn't do my part, but my concern is when I look at the assignments that have been assigned since I come on in May or June, I forget when it was, that not everyone's even participating in adding addresses.
Yes.
And so, you know, I'm seeing that it's going to be people who come just to the meeting and then people who are working. And so if we're gonna commit, we need to commit to everyone being a participant,
Yeah.
I think. Just,
Yeah.
Did Bob or Matt not have any recommendations of someone else we could speak to?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Roger's trying to get into the meeting.
Oh.
He doesn't have the passcode.
But you don't need a passport, but you just need to.
I did need a passcode to get in.
What did you use, Heather? I mean,
It was
it's
in,
there. It's
the
right in the
email.
email. I've
It was
got
in the email.
47559. I'm responding to him.
That's interesting.
Yeah. What was it again? 475
559?
5594? What was it? Do you remember?
475599.
It's right in the email, but he didn't see it. I have it.
It's kind of buried. It's not right after the link, so.
Right. And I do think that these are his first Zooms that he's really had, so. I replied to him. You were asking me a question as I was answering him. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. So Bob or Matt didn't have any other recommendations of someone we can approach for this?
No,
It's unfortunate.
yeah. He, Bob was specific with Matt might be the person.
Right.
But he also said that the professor that took over as the chairman of the department was new, and to put that on his shoulders at this time when he's trying to get a department up and running was, he didn't feel was, right.
Sure, that's understandable.
Did you look into the person Jenna had suggested?
I looked at the website
Okay,
and wanted to talk about that.
okay.
Yeah. So let's just finish the discussion. Is there anyone who's, I mean, I can personally say that I am not available to do a lot more than I'm doing right now. And I too would absolutely step up for being led by a consultant and directed and guided. I would absolutely step up to support that. But,
Yeah, thinking about it, I'm feeling like for me, if you gave me a specific job, like Erica, do this on this timeline, that is what I could manage right now, but like, it seems
good.
so big to
Okay.
do it on our own.
Well, just to kind of go back to what we started talking about last time, when we kind of knew this was gonna be where we are currently, and Lynn brought up. I mean, what we need is a general contractor essentially, and
Yeah.
Lynn suggested maybe not one person, but maybe two people, and what
Yeah.
those people do is they talk and they delegate and give people specific
Mhm.
tasks.
Mhm.
And if, in my opinion, right now, the first specific task needs to be the research of a potential new Bob
Yeah.
Barcelona.
Yeah.
So that would be what I would suggest as being task number one right
Mhm.
now, to move
Mhm.
forward and you give it to somebody and say,
Mhm.
this is you, or maybe even two people.
Mhm.
And then move from there, because maybe if we don't have to go on and do this on our own. If that's a possibility, that would be amazing.
Then we have the financial piece to it too. I mean, we're limited to a $10,000 approval from the,
Well, not necessarily.
Oh.
I guess if I can jump in for a minute.
Yes, please.
A couple things is. The $10,000, I think we all recognize is a heck of a deal, for the expertise and everything. So it was kind of almost like a no-brainer, because that's, everyone would like that. Doesn't mean that's all that's there. On the other hand, I can see that probably the select board would not go for $60,000, which is, I think, what Brunswick paid. I think this committee did a great job on the survey. We put a lot of work into it as a collective group. But I think if we're gonna get to the point where we want to take the town, let's say the results show we want a community center of some sort that's some amount of $1 million. I think we need to get the expertise of the professional in that needs analysis. Because I think probably the biggest failing of our survey was we ended up with a Taj Mahal is what everyone wanted. And we probably didn't have a good enough way of imparting on people the cost of things, or trying to prioritize, pretty much a lot of people get excited that we want this, but we want it all. I suspect it all isn't gonna fly for the town of Topsham, with voters like whoever else. So maybe what we do is we craft the RFP in such a way to try to keep the cost of it down some, is that we put it out, because I think someone's group said, hey, let's at least put it out, and see what people, doesn't hurt to put it out there, see what we get. Maybe we have two options, you know, this is the option where the consultants do all the work. This is the option where you lead us, but we do a certain amount, you know, some amount of the work, and maybe there's a price that comes in that's a hybrid where we do some of the work, organizing the meetings, inviting the people, whatever. But they use the expertise to be able to help whittle down, this is what Topsham really needs, you know, you don't need a pool for this reason, or it's cost prohibitive or whatever. So that you've got the people that have the know-how about the other.
But
facility.
I think you just said exactly what I'm trying to bring to light is, does this committee want a two-tiered approach? Where the consultant does all of the work, or the consultant does some of the work and we do a lot of the work. I personally want the consultant to do all of the work. I do not want to be a large part of the committee. Of the doing. I am not available for that. So that's exactly what I'm trying to get a sense from the committee. And it's fine if others are and are available, that's fine. But that's where I almost feel like we need to come together as a group and say, are we going for a two-tier system? Or are we going for a one-tier system? Does that
And you
make
said
sense?
Brunswick's been through this already, right? This whole process.
So they're doing it now.
Oh,
Yes,
they're in the,
they've
they're
had,
still doing it.
they've had the needs assessment and they're raising.
No,
money.
they're, last Saturday was the opening of, they're starting to fundraise for further to do their feasibility.
I almost think for a building.
Right. It's called the Mark, MARC. And last weekend, they had a huge opening at Flight Deck and the Wild Oats, where they did a bunch of activities and just had a street fair, so to speak. And both Wild Oats and Flight Deck donated a lot of the proceeds. So I think they ended up with like 30 grand or something close to that.
They've gotten, I think, Angus King to put in a request for some federal thing for 500,000. But I think that was the earmark or whatever, but I guess he put in that as well as a bunch of others that all get stricken, so they're not gonna get that source. But I think they're actually fundraising for a building, not just
Right.
studying.
Wow.
I'd like to hear more about Jenna's recommendation or someone that she.
Yeah.
Or.
So I think that, we can definitely move on from the question. If it's not,
Well, I did want to just say one thing. The reason I asked that question about Brunswick is I thought, is there somebody on that team that's not at the top who would love to go through this process with someone else that we could pay money to, that they've been through the process, that would want to take the lead as a someone outside for a fee? You know what I'm saying? Like, there could be somebody on that team that would be thriving to do this, that's actually doing it, but it might be a conflict.
Right.
Because they're still working on it, it's not closed. I was thinking,
well, maybe what we need to do is just move forward and do look at the needs assessment and do the RFP and not make a decision about this.
and send them out to.
And send them out, and then we would send them out to, so Jenna is, for those that don't know, she's a partial member. She's a public health person in the community and has sent a link to one place that I can find.
One Saturday morning, she stopped at the soccer fields and said to me that she had a woman who had, or a Hart, is it Hart? I want to say, out of Gardner, Hart,
Yeah.
strategy or whatever, that had done some work for her for one of her groups that she works with. And she suggested that she might be able to do it. Didn't have any idea what the cost would be or any portion of that. But that it was worth looking into. So I sent it to Leslie as chair of the committee, so she could pursue it and see what she thought.
And it looks,
What's the name of them? Is it?
I have it right here. It's not that. I have it opened forever, and.
Hart Consulting.
Yeah.
and
Is that HART?
HART Consulting, and they're located in Gardner. For some reason, the page is not.
Does everybody have access? Do you wanna, can we put it up on the, up above?
If you, log in, you can share your screen, and that'll show it to you.
Can you tell me it again? HART?
HART Consulting, Art Consulting Incorporated.com.
Patricia Hart.
And how do I link up?
If you go to the town, go to the top calendar, the front page of the town website. And about halfway down the page is a bunch of little buttons, one of them says calendar. And then you can pull up tonight, and click on the meeting, and you'll see a link for the Zoom.
Can you walk me through, I'm going to where?
Front page of the Topsham
Yep,
website.
I'm there.
The calendar. Further down. Some of this row. There you go, there. Today's date. Look up community center meeting. This is the Zoom meeting to attend. Look on that. Then you have to use your computer. Get this. I'll have to promote you to the list.
Get promotion.
And then you want my.
Social Security.
Okay.
I think it's gonna ask now.
Join as panelist, yes.
And then down at the bottom,
Whiteboards.
share screen.
Share screen.
And whatever, pull up the thing on your computer and share it. You could-
Sounds promising. She sounds very promising.
You have to turn your video on. Down at the bottom.
Optimize for video clip, no. Welcome help here.
Share.
Just don't know how to get what's open here or here. Whiteboard,
Oh, I think just try to
share this.
Yep.
Consistent preferences.
there you go.
Yeah, but then what? That's what I did before and it's not doing anything.
Her camera is off. She has a picture, not herself. There you go.
Okay, we got me.
Great.
Now share my screen. Stop. Still me.
Go back to that, another screen you've got, I have a bunch of choices. Which one of those, I can't, I said something.
This is whiteboard, this is desktop. But there's an exclamation point as if there's something wrong.
What are the other choices?
Whiteboard, iPhone, music, system preferences.
Try the, icon, see the hazard stuff.
Allows Zoom to share your screen. Security, privacy, to grant access, which
Or maybe it's some type of security. stuff.
it could be because it's could be. Okay. So. That means I can't do this.
What are the choices?
This just says music.
Oh, okay,
And system preferences.
yeah, I guess what else, knowing how to change your privacy settings.
Allows Zoom to It's just not going to system preferences. Okay, I apologize. So yes, we have this, I'm gonna leave the meeting there because I'm here. We have what Jenna shared. It does look like a good option. They've worked with amazing companies that I can speak to right now. Clients that they've worked with are in education and government, Educate Maine, Maine Center for Disease Control and Prevention. For economic development, we have Maine Development Foundation, New Ventures Maine, Maine State Chamber of Commerce, the Nature Conservancy. It's not, public health, Healthy Androscoggin, Healthy Communities of the Capital Area. We've got lots of local. Yeah, they're local, they've got good names. Either way, we still need to take the steps that we need to take in order to get there, right? So, this is one group that we would definitely make aware that we have this, we're in this process and we would like their opinions. And we'd like them to be a part, Maine Department of Education. So there's lots of good,
Maybe you just want to
groups.
share that little blurb that she has on her website. If you scroll down
I'll read
on
that
her website, are you on her website?
part.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you scroll down to facilitation and consulting, it really sums it up.
Why don't you say
Okay. So her website says facilitation and consulting. Our team is available for facilitation services such as focus groups, community forums, stakeholder engagement sessions, one-on-one interviews, and other qualitative data collection methods that are tailored to meet a client's specific project needs. We are available for consultation at any stage or can be a part of the project team from beginning to end. Bring us in to help navigate the ins and outs of grant proposals, program design, and process management. So I think that's a great
It's a great option.
prospect. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So of course, we have the option of just contacting them and having them come work, be at our next meeting. We could definitely do that. Does that narrow our our path? I don't know. Or do we just continue to, work on the documents that we have in order to put them on the websites that we need to, so that, the bigger community can see them.
I think if you're thinking you wanna do this and pay for it, you probably would need to go the RFP route just because of the town's purchasing rules. We could have made an exception for UNH because it was almost a no-brainer, it was such a good value. But beyond that, I think probably so that we're gonna have to put it out and see what we get for
Okay.
bids, I think.
But we can let them know that we're,
You certainly,
Yes.
certainly can send it to them as.
Yeah.
ones.
okay,
It sounds like they would be good at process management, where they might not have is the expertise in community centers. To help us
Right.
figure out
right. That's true.
what's feasible.
So we need to figure out how we're gonna move forward on the needs assessment. So we have the request for proposal, community center needs assessment that we've done previously. That was done by a town person, Andrew. And to what extent can the town support us in sort of tightening that up and making sure that's the way it needs to be?
We can do that to Pam and I.
Okay,
I'm sorry, what was the response?
We could do that to Pam and I, we could help with the RFP. together.
Oh,
so it's their language. So they can,
Andrew has it pretty well.
it does.
His document is pretty clear. The only thing is, I'm thinking we're probably not gonna be able to have that ready for the October 6th meeting, because it should come back here before it goes to them.
Yeah, unless you want to have another meeting before next Tuesday.
Right. Well, I think it is a matter of looking at it and making sure it's all accurate. I know that the mission statement is not current, so that would be a matter of changing that. Okay, so where does that leave us then? So we need that done. And when is it, not the October 6th meeting, there's a November meeting?
There's also another October meeting.
Oh.
We meet twice a month, first and third Thursdays of the month.
So maybe we can meet before, right now, our next meeting is October 17th. And when is their next meeting?
2 weeks from the 6th. So it would be the 20th.
So maybe we can just get on the 20th meeting instead.
Although to get on that agenda, the paperwork has to be ready by the day after Wednesday. It's about 10 days before.
That's okay. I think we could do that. Oh. But the RFP doesn't have to be done. That's not, for the October 10th, for the submitting of the
Yeah,
information.
usually they like to be able to read it. So I said you'd want that, you'd want the proposed RFP in the agenda so that they could read that as they prepare for the meeting.
Okay, so if we're meeting on the 17th, that doesn't work. So what happens?
So then there's the first meeting in November,
Right.
which is
Yeah, you're right.
It'll be-
Unless we want, I mean, is it
Third.
reasonable to?
November 3rd.
Is it reasonable to? Do after you all finish the RFP, sending it out by email and seeing if anybody has anything, we could get on for the October 10th. If we can get the information to them by October 10th.
I think so. There probably won't be that many changes. Probably the biggest issue, which you could haggle up now, is do we write something in the, do we ask for two different versions of the proposal? Do we ask for a version where they do it all versus a version where they lead us and we help with some of the legwork? Because we shouldn't write the RFP a little differently, depending on whether we wanted that.
Well, even with Bob, when he was doing it all, we were still doing quite a bit.
But that's because he was a lot cheaper too.
Right.
I think if we were paying the 60,000, we probably wouldn't be doing anything. I don't know what your sense is, how much fun we did
Well,
on
I mean, we don't know how much art it is or other people, so.
I think
So
it
you-
makes sense because whichever way we go, at least we'll have that information. Right? And we know projected costs and scope, right?
But we have to be willing as a committee to do a larger portion of it.
Well, we should first find out whether we have to. Or not. So that's what I'm saying, is we need to find the companies and find out what their price points are. Essentially.
My concern is the message that we've gotten in the past from the Board of Selectmen for the price. And what they have put aside for us is 15. I don't know. We'd have to justify going higher, right? I would presume.
I mean, here's another plan is. Because we tentatively have you earmarked for a community center update on the 6th, which. Could have also included our papers ready, but doesn't have. Maybe you do your update and get a sense from them. Which path they'd like us to pursue or something.
Right. I guess I still just go back to my question is who on the committee would be willing to do more than. Whatever the consultants. Minimal amount they need us to do, that's all. We're volunteers. To, I don't know, can somebody else? Talk about it for a second, maybe I'm beating something here, I don't know.
Well, I think it's kind of hard to. In one respect, commit because we don't know what our commitment will be. I mean, we know we're gonna have to be involved, but if they're doing part of it and we're doing part of it, we don't know. At least I don't know, I can't speak to everybody, but I don't know what my percentage of commitment would be.
But is it 50-50?
Yeah.
Or is it
80-20?
20? Yeah,
or,
exactly.
you know,
It seemed to me like it was mostly around the focus groups originally. which is
Yes,
where
me too.
a lot of our work is gonna be.
Yeah, to have a concentrated, week-long involvement, 80-20, I can absolutely do.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe, can we do this? What is a percentage that people would be comfortable committing to? I would commit to an 80-20. That something like that, like, is this a helpful conversation?
So I think it's helpful.
Okay. All right, so Leslie's committing to 80-20.
See that, or is you 75-25?
Well, then I think you have a little bit more time. so-
Oh, get out, I have a husband to keep busy too.
Steve, how about you? Just to gauge it,
Yeah, it depends on the year, time of year, because
Sure.
right now I could offer 40%.
Yeah.
But in this, after November, I'm very limited. With basketball season, so.
Well, that's a good point, because my son's getting married in May, so like, write me out for the whole month of May.
But it doesn't mean that during the workday, I couldn't set aside some time to concentrate on some focus groups, so. I mean, 80-20 in the basketball season is probably fair, but elsewhere up to 40-50%.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you
not
comfortable
forever.
with stating a number?
You only live once, right?
I have time because I'm retired. It's just the knowledge and expertise that's the concern, you know, maybe if I were to team with someone else, that would be, you know, 2 heads are better than 1, and 3 heads are better than 2. You know, but there's only 10 of us is it you 10 of us?
7.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that you don't count, so the 7. So, you know, that's just a really big commitment. It's daunting, you know, but can we do it? And what is it we're trying to accomplish? We're trying to find out, you know, what are the needs versus wants? And not to compete with other businesses in the area that do similar things and to, you know, blend all of that together in one place and then find a location and, you know, there's a bunch of stuff happening, so. I signed up to work and to help, but I'm just not sure. You know, I don't want to overcommit something that I can't pull off.
Am I hearing me? Do you want to put a number to it?
Oh, I could probably do 40.
How about Eric and Roger? We can't hear you.
You can ask to unmute.
I think 80-20 is reasonable. I have sometimes more time than others, but I'd like to be able to help out. And of course, we need to know if that group would be willing to do that with us. But we haven't really officially spoken with them yet, is my understanding. As far as having them come to a meeting, of course, that hasn't happened. But I'll say 80-20. I go
So
with it.
Roger, just to catch you up, UNH has now told us they are not available.
Right. I've been reading the emails and
Okay.
I was very disappointed to read that.
So then the
And-
next step is just putting out the needs assessment RFP and trying to get anybody, whoever responds back. We then have a gauge for what our commitment level.
So
or our-
what would have been our commitment level if UNH would be on board? I mean, did we ever talk about that with them or?
Yeah, I would guess they were also about that 80-20%.
Okay,
Is the primary, our primary work being during the focus groups.
okay.
That's
All
my
right.
sense. Erica,
Yeah, I'm with you, Leslie, like 80-20, like give me a good week, I can give you that week and then, you know, but taking on much more than that would feel really overwhelming.
okay, great. I feel that's helpful for us all to understand where we're all coming from. Okay, that's great.
I mean, the other option also is we can also delegate people outside of our committee to help as well. There are definitely people in this town that are interested in a community center, but don't want to put in this weekly time.
Yeah.
And if it's focused on like a week or 2 at a time, I think they'd be more likely to help out.
Yes, I agree.
So it doesn't mean that it's just us.
Yeah.
There are many people
Yeah.
that we trust to help us.
Yeah.
You ever hear from Kim? Did she ever respond to it?
So are we gonna send this RFP to this heart communication by US Postal Service, right? We'll just send them out. Do we want to send them out to all of the names we discussed, or do you want to send them out just to a few and post them?
I think send it to many places as we can. So we put it on the Maine municipal website, we send it to any known people that might be interested, consultants we know do it. Whatever we can, not a deadline. to get things in.
And I don't know what the prices would be or if they would be good or not, but we did have that as an option. Potential bidders on that, but 6 names,
It's the research that we did, yeah, that's great.
so it can't hurt to send them out.
Right.
It's the cost of postage.
Right. I thought it was primarily, what my thought would be that we put it out to the Maine, what was that, Maine municipal,
Maybe municipal association.
right? And then we could email the people
Yeah.
that we've found on the, as consultants that you found, Ann, and we email Heart Consulting. And we say we posted, or I don't know exactly what,
Oh, so that they'll find it on the,
but I don't know what the,
No, that's absolutely true.
okay,
that's a good way to do it.
This,
Yeah. that's.
we
my-
can't get it too many places, so we can spread it.
We'll post it on the
every-
town's website. As a, we have a square that we turn on for RFPs and that type of thing. So that they'll be on the carousel would be, current RFPs, and they can just click on that. So once it's created, accepted, we're all in agreement with the Board of Selectmen, then we would put it on the website and distribute it. Somebody just come in,
No, we just walk.
I just heard the click, like you're looking, so.
Okay, so our next steps are for you to thank you very much for any time that it takes you to go over that. It makes sense, right? For that to happen that way. Should we still go to the October 6th? I don't mind going to the meeting
I
and
think it's
saying,
probably good
yeah,
to update them where we're at, and if for some reason they say. No, we don't want to do an RFP, it'd be nice to know that before we all put the.
Yeah.
Work into it.
okay.
Mark, are you here on the sixth?
Yeah.
Okay. I may not. Okay,
Okay, so then we'll let them know that we're updating that. We can share that with them. Do we have to be at a meeting to share that with them? With the next-
So the kind of procedure would be on the 6th, you would tell them what the process that, what's going on.
Give it-
If Pam and I get it together and you guys all like it by the 10th, then. They could have it for their next meeting to consider as an action item, to consider the RFP and authorize it going out.
Would I show up again for that?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Okay, and the date again, November? If it-
Yeah, October 20th. Or if we wait until November, it's November, I think, 3rd or something.
So we still need to do an update on the 6th, but also be
Mhm.
present. on the 20th.
And those are all 6:30 meetings?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's good. Anything else with any of those discussions? Anything else that we need to talk to the select board about? Okay, so as far as the available properties go, did everybody have a chance to look at that?
Large properties. So.
Anything come up for people in that, us have a conversation about?
It's certainly hard not knowing exactly where the properties were.
I'm just curious about the car dealership on Main Street. So that's town acquired, but they're still operating as a business there, correct?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Are they renting?
Once you have a tax lien that goes on your property, if 18 months go by without being paid, then the property becomes the town's automatically. So right now, our town liability has liability insurance, so if something were to happen there, the town is technically, not technically, we are the owner. Kind of this step, we have something called the tax acquired property guidelines to give us steps to do. The first step is we reach out to the owners, former owners of the property, and say, hey, Town of Topsham really doesn't want to own the property. Would you like to make an offer to buy it back? And then if they make an offer, we take it to the select board. There's some things in the guidelines that, the select board usually try to make sure that they get back all the taxes plus interest that's accrued. Plus, like, for instance, say the property we got as of March 1st of this year. Tax assessment date is April 1st. So as of April 1st, the property is now in the name of Town of Topsham. So it did not get a tax bill generated today. Just everyone's tax bill will be coming soon.
Thanks for that reminder.
It did not get a bill generated today for this year. So when I coach people on making an offer to get the property back at this time of year, is you also want to include what would be the foregone taxes. So we take the mill rate for this year, we multiply it with the tax assessor's assessment of properties for this year, figure out what it would have paid for taxes that had been on the rolls. People include that in their offer. And so then we take it up to the select board, and most of the time, they'll sell it back to the former owner as long as they pay all the back taxes, interest, expenses, and foregone taxes.
And do they have to do that like within a certain time frame as well?
There's,
In the buying back?
there's not a formal time period. But the longer that goes, like for instance, some of these properties on that list, the town's had for 20 years. The town probably, the select board, especially if it's saying something the conservation committee, since this is key land, the town will need to have for conservation purposes. They're probably not gonna be so anxious to sell it back to the person that ignored the issue for 20 years. You know, if they
Right.
turned out this really has important conservation value.
Right.
But nothing says they couldn't. It's, once that date of the first goes by, it's complete discretion of the select board, because there's an article in town meeting warrant, this is the select board have the authority to deal with tax acquired property if they see fit. So they kind of look at they'll look at, is there a use for the town to have this? Is the, prior owner, what happened? Maybe there was some type of a family emergency, they just didn't have the money, and so they take all that into account. But the shorter time it's been tax acquired, the more likely it is the prior owner can get it back if they step up and, basically make the town whole.
And I think lot size has a lot to do with what we're looking for. And I don't think, Mark and I have talked a little bit, I don't think lot size is there.
Yeah.
So, do we know who owns the surrounding property to that particular lot?
I think the credit
Credit
union there
union.
has at least some of it.
Yeah.
And there may be some type of relationship with Jim Howard. I'm not sure if he actually owns it or leases it or what's.
Right, because there's 1.93 acres around it. So there's,
Almost half an acre.
yeah, 0.45. It's just the location of it is pretty great. To here and to the middle school. So it definitely caught my eye. Mary Kate mentioned it, Lynn's talked about it. And it's not, what's that?
They won't let it go.
Who is they?
The
The,
Berlins, so is that who we're talking about? Yeah.
so they have the right to buy it and pay it.
Right now, they no longer have a right,
Okay,
because once March 1st comes by, it's all the select board's discretion. But if they came today with everything it would take to make the town whole, most likely, I think probably they would be able to get it back, because the town's not trying to steal property from people.
but as of March 1st, 2023, they no longer have that.
No, as of March 1st, 2022, it's
Okay.
town property. So they no longer have a right to get it back, but according to the town's tax acquired property guidelines, kind of the first choice, if possible, and sometimes there's other things that come into consideration, but the first choice generally is to get it back to the former owner if they're willing to make the town whole.
So when does that happen or not? Does it matter?
It kind of is no deadline. So every day that goes by is another day that makes you wonder why they didn't do it sooner.
Mhm.
But if they were to come next week with an offer, I suspect it probably would be accepted.
So I'll tell you where my mind went with this is. I sort of feel like sometimes that at some point we might need to think outside the box. With this kind of group, and this is just brainstorming, right? So I drove by it today and I said, what about a teen center right there? Could be a teen center upstairs like we have at People's Plus down below, multi-generational, it's small, they are on about 0.45 acres. And they have a small lot in Brunswick with a parking lot. Maybe it's not, their ideal spot, but I just sort of had this brainstorm today. What if, as we go to the select board and we say, okay, we're not gonna be able to do this for $10,000. We're not gonna be able, we've been brainstorming other ideas. We have this 0.45 acres. Is this something, could we just think smaller? Not think pool, not think big, just think shorter vision, smaller scope. And see where we're at. So that's why I'm,
I don't think I'd bring property up at this meeting.
no, I don't, no.
Only because the procedure that everyone's been asked to do, kind of to follow, is by September 30th, give any recommendations your committee has or department or whatever. Then during October, I need to take all the recommendations, plus we had to send a letter to all the abutters, to ask people if they were interested possibly in it, so I've got all those. I gotta compile all that, redo that list that you've got, and then probably sometime in November, we'll have a workshop. So the time to make that pitch would be at that
Exactly.
workshop.
Yeah, it would be whenever it was
Yeah.
appropriate down the line that's sort of, but I don't know, I mean, so I would say, I would love to consider possibly that piece of land, but yes.
I found it curious. I printed this one out. It's RO 345. And it talks about how it's 20 acres, but it has no road access. But if you look at this map right next to it, 38 belongs to the town of Topsham, and that has road access. So
Which piece is that one?
this is R 345.
That Merrill property.
I don't know.
I will say it's.
Dorian and Edward Grant were the owners. See how, this is the one we're
Yeah,
looking,
Ward Road.
oh, we're
Yeah.
looking- this is the one that we're looking at, but this whole piece right here belongs to the town of Topsham, but it's not highlighted. So.
That
the
piece
fact-
is a piece that the town owns, they do forest, we have, it's one of the places we're projecting to do a forestry plan on. There is not access even on the town of Topsham land. We have an easement across a farm field to get to it. If you go up the Merrill Road, West Merrill Road, all the way to the end is the Merrill Farm. And if you go through their parking lot, you guys know where Jen Tankersley used to live. There's a lane right after that house that goes to the lot, which is on the outskirts of the pasture. And that particular piece is on the Ward Road going out. Is it before or after the bridge? That we know.
Are you talking about the 45, the one that's highlighted? Because I'm talking about 38 that's adjacent to it.
Right,
I don't-
but
they're doing
the 38 that you're talking about that's close to the Ward Road.
Rangeway Road.
Yeah.
Rangeway Road. It was just like, there was access
It seems
there.
like the better sized pieces are the ones that are kind of on the
On
outskirts
the
of town.
outskirts.
So that's not, people don't want to be on the outskirts of town, is that?
They want it as accessible for kids as possible, if they are using it after school or before.
So they
I mean, I'll be honest, when we used to own, the Pajevskit School, not own, or we took care of the Pajevskit School. We looked a lot into turning that into a community center, and that
On
got
River Road?
turned away. And that got shoo-shooed because it was too far away, and that was, I mean, that was 2.5 miles. Because it was just too far to get kids to for a teen center or anything like
I
that.
see.
But not to say that it's not worth looking at, it's just my familiarity, that particular piece is that it's landlocked.
Well, that one is, yeah, but the one next to it's not, and so I figured there would be a way to
Get there.
get there by the other property, if that was something that could work. But most of them were just really long and thin,
Yeah.
really, you really can't do much.
The reason
I thought
people
about
didn't-
spinning on
Right.
just to buy them, so I could go put a lawn chair there, and have people go, what are you doing? I say, I own this. piece
So
of
that's what, the 6-inch strip.
We
Yeah,
have,
they sound like you put a chair on, I saw that.
we have a couple of people that are interested, I mean, there's one parcel that goes right to the river.
Oh,
And it's a
nice.
wetland.
Oh, it's a
I mean,
wetland.
And he wants it, and we know people that want it because it's good hunting, so, you know.
That's
Is that the
fun.
Muddy River one?
That's fun.
So I guess, do we think that this committee would like to, or is curious about that land? And you take note of that and do what you will with it?
So what you could do is you could, if the committee takes a vote or has a consensus or whatever, there might be some interest in 92 Maine for a community center. I can note that on the list that goes to the select board. That's what you guys would decide.
Definitely not big enough as is.
No. But is it a start?
I don't know. I don't know what's 33A. I don't know who's there. What's there, but
What was the? What was the acreage on the?
On Main Street, it's almost half an acre, it's like 0.45.
Oh, it's just so small.
I think what Leslie is just trying to say, though, if all of this work for a big location falls through, whether it's due to finances or not finding the right property or something, can we do something on a smaller scale basis?
A senior building here and a team building there and
To at least give something to the community.
Or like people, do you know the
Or like
People's
people-
Plus building?
I'm a member of People's.
There you go, right? So you've got one down, so they've got a lot built into that small little, that's not an acre. I live on an acre, so I know that's
The
not an
parking
acre,
is tight there.
right?
And you go to events, you can't get in, you can't get parking. You go to events.
Although if we were gonna do something somewhere, especially, something smaller, seems like it would make more sense to try to find a piece of the Forsyth Field area as opposed to, commercial. like-
Oh, yeah.
Are there pieces?
Are there pieces out there for sale?
Let's say we took a part of the current,
Oh,
and repurposed it or something.
I like that idea, actually.
But I always think that is probably further down the road.
Yeah.
And first we figure out what we need. If we're looking for a big place with a massive pool, maybe that's too much space. But if we're looking for a smaller building that would be wonderful to have in conjunction with the fields or something, then maybe that's the area.
Right, yeah. So I think it's reasonable to put our name on that as a question mark, personally. But would you wanna put your name on that? There's anybody? do you
Again,
wanna-
only if 33A becomes available because of the structure of 33C being less than a half acre and being a triangle, it would be very difficult to put anything there that would.
And they say location, but that's really.
I know.
small, you
Yeah.
know.
But I am in agreement with what you're saying.
Mhm.
If
Not
it was a
necessarily-
piece, if it was just a small
If
segment.
it was even a rectangle or a square or something, it would
Right.
be a lot easier. But
Well, or say the straight line on 33C goes back, straight back, and then the bank sits there on the rectangle, remaining rectangle.
Yeah.
And then we have the whole other section for parking and
Right.
a building.
I mean, it barely fits drilling motors.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
they've got a limit what they do, for
Right.
sure. Right, and then we'd have parking across the street at Volvo and we'd be all set. You know, children crossing the road, anyway, so. Yeah. Okay, do we wanna take a vote on whether or not we should have Mark be aware that the community center would like to be in, or I don't even know what the language is that we're,
Might have interest.
might have interest in that plot of land.
It's not gonna hurt us, right?
It'll only hurt Berlin Motors.
Yeah.
It might get them to pay their taxes.
I actually think that's exactly.
So fair enough, go for it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Hey,
Aye. Opposed? Those are in favor, okay. So,
I saw hands raised.
all in
Yeah.
favor with one opposed, so that passes.
Maybe we'll get some money out of the town.
The town, yes. Don't push the envelope.
Okay.
Okay. So, I want to make sure everybody feels like they have the name Hart Consultants, because I'm feeling like maybe I should have sent that to you ahead of time, so, please feel free to look at Hart Consultants.
I can send the link out tomorrow to everybody.
Because I think it is worth considering. And we can definitely include that.
Do you want me to send these names of the 6 and addresses to you?
That would be good. We could
Yeah.
just put them on a list and begin to compile a
And people
list.
can look at them and
Yep.
see yes or no.
I think that's awesome.
Okay, I'll type these up and send them to you, Pam.
Thank you very much.
Well, and this is, I just loop back to the social media piece of things, because we've said, well, we don't need to get that started yet, but I feel like this is one of those moments. Where we could put out something on a Facebook page and say, we are moving towards, we're going to be putting forth our RFP, and so that if there are consultants in the area.
Don't put the cart with the horse.
Yeah.
I think you want to find someone and then use it to promote it. I think Facebook, you have to really be sure of your medium that you're working with before you get too out there. I would be concerned that what we're looking for a consulting firm is we're not gonna find on Facebook
Okay.
by a post. I
Okay.
think you're gonna find it by resources and contacts such as what Ann's done, such as what Jenna's offering to
Okay.
us. I think,
Word of mouth is better.
well,
Smaller.
and it's not word of mouth because I mean, the planning office has a listserv that planners use. I'm thinking the MMA has it, so those are the type of places that you want to be working with this.
Okay, great.
Sometimes Facebook brings you
Yeah,
not what you want.
okay.
I have to be careful then.
Okay, next meeting, October 17th. Does that still work for everyone? That's for me. And Mary Kate, I've talked with her, she is just booked on Mondays. At this point. So she's not sure that there's other days that are better, but she's going to stay aware of what's happening and watch videos and do what she can until her schedule kind of smooths out a little bit. Steve, how about you?
It's fine.
Go
Good for me.
Is Roger going to be taking minutes next meeting to see? me?
Roger, can you take minutes next time? I can't hear you.
Yeah, I can do that.
So I can, at the meeting,
It was
I,
supposed to be Mary Kate, but she said she can't be there.
yes. So I can share the minutes with you ahead of time on a document that you and I would share, and then I'll finish up the minutes and.
Okay,
That'd be great.
so that's for 6:30, October 17th.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay. Any action steps? What are we looking at for action steps? Steve, can you review what we have for? Any action
And
steps?
Anna's gonna send Pam the list
Okay.
of potential RFP bidders.
That would be,
We didn't have any.
Payment I work in the RFP.
I put
Yes,
Pam and
that's-
Mark to prepare the RFP.
Yeah.
Leslie to update October 6th and the 20th. And what do you want to do?
And sending our list of consultants to Pam, and then I'll send the list out to everyone.
And after you work on the RFP, when the time comes, you'll send it to the group to look at?
Exactly.
Leslie to submit property interest to Mark. Is that what we're?
I think that we verbally told
Yeah, you
you.
did it.
So Leslie submitted property interest.
so there
And
is another consulting group besides Hart that we're looking at. I must have missed that.
It was from last meeting.
Oh, okay,
From the last meeting, there's a list of 6. So
Okay.
I'm gonna send them to Pam and she'll send them to you.
okay, great.
We'll get them out via email to you, Roger.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, it would be good for us to look at those. You know, that way we can do our own research and see what people are doing out there. Okay.
And it'll also be good if we can send up multiple requests for an RFP, then what's gonna happen is they're gonna come back with prices all over the place. So that's gonna put us in a better position if we go to the select board and say, listen, we've gotten 5 responses. One is $100,000 and one is $25,000. That 25,000 is gonna look pretty good
Mhm.
compared to the 100,000. But if you only went to the 25, they're like, what happened to the 10,000? You know, so
Yeah.
I just think it gives us a better perspective. We don't know where they're gonna come in
Yeah.
at, but they're all from New England. The lists that I have are all from New England, even Boston or New Hampshire or Maine. So they're fairly local.
That's great. Okay, great. Maybe a silly question, but to what extent, so after somebody gets the RFP and they are presenting us with the document like UNH did, to what extent are they asking us questions and doing research to?
So they will provide us with an RFP. And then we will take all of the RFPs and sit down and review them. We would, if there were a number of them, we would decide upon which ones we were interested in and what they offered. And then we would review them all. We might choose to interview 2 or 3 of them before we would make a final decision. And then we would attend a selectmen's meeting, and ask them to approve, spending this amount of money on a particular firm based upon our interviews. Right?
Exactly.
Okay, just making sure that, I like to make sure Mark and I are on the same page. Always.
Okay, anything else?
I vote to adjourn.
Vote to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Adjourn. Meeting adjourned.
Great.
Thank you.
Bill, Archer,
Harder.
there you go.
Bye, Ron.
We're like
Bye,
that.
Erica.
There you go. Lynn's got it.